Welcome, everyone. Welcome to Southminster Steinhauer United Church. Welcome to SSUC. We are spiritual seekers united in community. Welcome to those of us who join us for the first time or for the first time in a while. Welcome to those who join us online by live stream and weekly web videos. And welcome to those who are a part of our circle regularly. Welcome to everyone. A special hello to our friends in Saskatoon this morning that are joining us live from St. Andrew's College on the U of S campus, and who are joined this morning by Nancy and Dawn. And as they join in a circle there, we join in a circle here, and we are together as one community, and we welcome you all. This is a place of spiritual exploration, and so we're welcome into this community of diversity and acceptance where all ages, all colors, cultures, sexualities, gender expressions, religions, and traditions are welcome. We say that often because it's important to know that we fit, that we belong, that we have a part in our circle, regardless of where we've been, who we are, how we've come to be here. So welcome to this time where we're invited to open ourselves to compassion and deep wisdom, knowing that we're each important, valued, and able to live and make a difference in our world. And it's our hope that our time together as community can help us to do that in our lives. We have an opportunity this morning to share some news about life in our community. And if you have something to share this morning, I invite you to come forward and share that announcement of things that are upcoming in our life as SSUC together. What is it to honor the land? What is it to acknowledge traditional territory? We do it every week, but we recognize that it's to look at and to acknowledge a longer history that reaches beyond colonization and the establishment of European colonies, beyond the stories of any of our families. To look at the land's significance for all, for Indigenous peoples who've lived and continue to live upon this territory and whose practices and spiritualities were tied to the land and continue to develop in relationship to the land and its other inhabitants today. And so we do acknowledge, every time we gather, the place on which Southminster Steinhauer United Church sits. For thousands of years, it's been the traditional land of the Cree, Blackfoot, Nakota Sioux, Denetah, Métis, and many others. Today, this place is still home to many Indigenous people from across Turtle Island, and we're grateful to have the opportunity to live and work and make our home on this land. It's our hope and our prayer that our words don't stop there, that our acknowledgement symbolizes our actions and intentions to live in hope for strong relationships, continued reconciliation, a good relationship with the land and all her people. So as we light this candle, we'll let it remind us of the hopefulness that comes with all of our relations and relationships. The ways of finding opportunities to grow together and find love expressed in ways that connect us, that draw us to care for one another, and that move us closer to compassion and healthy relationships. With this candle lit in our midst, we'll share words that will strengthen our intentions as we share them with one another. Let's speak these words together. We embrace with gratitude the gift of life, the mystery of being, and the nudge toward transformation. With our words, may we strengthen our intentions to bring healing to hurt, peace to violence, beauty to ugliness, and love to brokenness. May we find the grace to accept ourselves, affirm each other, and work together for the world we wish to live. Let's find the courage to befriend change, balance our egos, and spend our energy on living our highest values. We pray as those born of love and endless light. May it be so. It's our time for all ages. I welcome anyone who wants to come to the carpet for a story this morning to come. Hello, everyone. Good morning. Would you like to sit right here? Right there, perfect. I want to read a story about friendship. Friendship. Having friends. The thing about having friends is sometimes it's really, 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 really fun. And it's not fun all the time. Sometimes having friends is hard because sometimes friends don't agree on things. Sometimes friends want different things, want to do different things at different times, and it's very challenging. And so this is a book about all of our relationships. And it's by a woman named Catherine Otoshi. There she is up there. I think she likes to paint, too. She painted all the things in this book, but she also wrote the words. So this is a book called Two. Two, the number 2. Here it is. 2 was a playful number. She was curved on the top, straight on the bottom, and friendly and warm like the sun. Her best friend was 1. Whenever they'd get the chance, they'd dance. She'd sing and snap, he'd tippity-tap. What a pair they made. At the end of each day, they'd always say, 1, 2, I'll count on you. Till the end, we'll be the best friends.
And they're number 3.
Well, yes, you're ahead of me. Here we go. Thank you. This is the page we're on. Until 3 jumped in between them. You two. Oh, yes. So I'm just going to read. Yes. I know. I know. There's so many numbers, aren't there? Here's what 3 said. You two are like glue, said 3, poking fun. Shake things up, come play with me, 1. Odds are better than the rest, but 1 and 3 are best. Uh-oh. That wasn't very nice. 2 felt a shift. She watched 1 slowly drift away from her. 2 felt left out. Can I play too? She asked.
And O and 2 with a 4. This is horrible.
Yeah, it is. You just wait and see. 2 felt left out. Can I play too? She asked. You've had your time to play with 1, answered 3. We're playing odds only right now. 2 was blue. What did I do? 1 left without a word. Is it because I'm even and they're both odd? Let it go, said 0. No, wait a minute. Let it go, said 0. Just ignore them, added 4. But 2 couldn't let go. At every turn, what did she see? 1 playing with 3. 1, 3, odds will be, they'd say. 2 felt a little green. Her heart felt sick, and she began to crack. Oh, no. The evens rushed over to comfort their friend. Such a shame things aren't the same. 3 is silly, said 4. 1 can't be best friends with 3. It's unlucky, said 6. 1 and 3 are just plain odd. Let's get even with those odds, exclaimed 8. 5, 7, and 9 overheard the chatter. What's the matter? There's nothing wrong with being odd. Evens are great, stated 4, 6, and 8. Sometimes even greater than odds. 0 saw the numbers collide. Why did everyone need to take sides? 5, 7, 9. We're all odd and we're just fine, shouted the odds. 4, 6, 8. Being even is first rate, yelled the evens. 0 watched this hullabaloo. She raced over to 2. The numbers are dividing. Now the odds are at odds with the evens, and the evens want to get even with the odds. 2 felt split, but what can I do, she asked. Half of me doesn't care about that odd pair. Maybe it's time for me to be done with 1. That's the smaller side of you talking, said 0. You're greater than that. The evens and odds are in a fight. What if you can make things right? Can you find it in your heart to see a new angle to this possibility? 2 thought, and then, you're right, she exclaimed, flipping herself around. It's in me. I can be less than I've been or greater than I am. The choice is mine. So 2 pulled herself together and stood up tall. I have something to say to you all, she said. It's not easy to say, but I've come to see it's tricky to dance when there are 3. One should have other friends, and the same goes for me. 3 drooped. I'm sorry, 2, he said. I see now that playing the odds wasn't fair to you. Well, here's where we can all agree, said 2. When the dance turns and shifts, let's groove and flow. If you're holding too tight, let go. Dance to your own beat, do your own thing, be free to explore what the new day can bring. Explore, cheered 4. Dance and mix, said 6. Rock and roll, said 7. Shake it up, they shouted. Soon all the numbers were dancing together, moving and grooving, shimmying and shaking, and spinning around like tops. It's fun to dance with everyone, said the numbers. 2 spun faster and faster, round and round. She got so dizzy that, oops, she bumped into 1. He teetered and toppled and almost fell down, but 2 caught him. Sorry, said 2. Me too, said 1. Both said nothing for a while, and then 1 said softly, Hey, 2, can I still count on you? 2 looked at 1 and said, It's the end, and guess what? We're still friends. That's a story that teaches us a little bit about how it can be difficult to have friends, that sometimes things get in the way. But it's also possible to share, yes, it's also possible to have lots of friends and to find ways to make things work, to find that you have things to share with each other, even if they're different from before. It's time for Kid Spirit. Kid Spirit and Youth Cafe are happening today.
first reading this morning is from the Gospel according to Luke chapter 15, verses 11 to 32. Now there are 4 Gospels that tell the stories of Jesus, and in this particular story, this is the only Gospel that we find it in. Matthew and Mark and John don't write about this story. And it's the story of the prodigal son. Then Jesus said, "Once there was this man who had 2 sons. The younger of them said to his father, 'Father, give me the share of the property that's coming to me.' So he divided his resources between them. Not too many days later, the younger son got all his things together and left home for a faraway country, where he squandered his property by living undisciplined and wastefully. Just when he had wasted it all, a serious famine swept through that country, and he began to hurt. So he went and hired himself out to one of the citizens of that country, who sent him out to his farm to feed the pigs. He was so hungry, he would have eaten the corn cobs in the pig slop, but no one offered him anything. Coming to his senses, he said, 'Lots of my father's hired hands have more than enough to eat. Well, here I am, dying of starvation. I'll get up and go to my father, and I'll say to him, Father, I have acted poorly and affronted you. I don't deserve to be called a son of yours any longer. Treat me like one of your hired hands.' And he got up and returned to his father. But while he was still a long way off, his father caught sight of him and was moved to compassion. He went running out to him, threw his arms around him, and kissed him. And the son said to him, 'Father, I have acted poorly and affronted you. I don't deserve to be called a son of yours any longer.' But the father wasn't listening. He was calling his servants, 'Quick, bring out the finest robe and put it on him. Put the family ring on his finger and sandals on his feet. Fetch the fat calf and start roasting it. Let's have a feast and celebrate. My son was given up for dead and is now alive. Given up as lost and now found.' And they started celebrating." This is a parable shared in the Jesus tradition of the first century.
Return again, return again, return to the land of your soul. Return again, return again, return to the land of your soul. Return to what you are. Return to who you are. Return to where you are, born and reborn again. Return again. Return again. Return to the land of your soul. In our series of Oscar films nominated and nominations and winners from the 2019 season, we've been sharing wisdom that comes from selected movies from that list. And this week, the movie that we are going to discuss and find meaning in is the winner of the Best Animated Short, which this year was entitled Bow. Canadian director and writer Domee Shi was the first woman recipient of this award, and as we watch it today, we're going to watch the entire short film. It's only 7.5 minutes, and there are no words. It's a silent film, if you will. And we'll watch it now, and I hope that we enjoy it and find within it something for our living. Family, may we find wisdom for our living. I want you to imagine a son going to his father and saying, "Dad, I'd rather you were dead. I'd rather you were dead so that I could have my half of the inheritance." That would not only be a shock, but it would be a ripping out of a parent's heart. That's what the father in the prodigal son story heard his son say. Maybe not in so many words, but to ask for your inheritance while you're still alive is to say that you wish that death was upon us right now. What a betrayal of all that a parent has given to a child. And yet, we have this ancient story where Dad, in who knows what emotional state, chose to give it to him. He gave his son his freedom to make of his life what he wished. And the young man did just that. He left home and chose instead the company of his fast-living, fickle friends. I doubt that when he was gone, he called his mom. He certainly, we know, squandered his fortune, lost his wealth, lost whatever friends he thought he had, lost his dignity, lost everything. And so he came crawling home. It's difficult when we read this story, and for many of us who have heard this story so many times, to recognize just the hurt that the father must have felt in being all but dead to his son, and the sheer shock of the reaction the father actually does have upon his son's return. Somehow this father's heart has not turned bitter. Somehow he stayed in this shattered but open place. And meanwhile, the son's been practicing his apology all the way home, he's been thinking, what will this sound like, Dad? I was wrong, I'm sorry, I didn't mean it. But as it turns out, when he gets close to home, all that practicing was for nothing because his dad wouldn't even let him finish. For some reason, he couldn't respond with anger, that father, with the hurt that was this lump in his chest for who knows how long. He couldn't respond even with a chorus of, "I told you so's." The father's open heart let him run to his boy, embrace him, kiss him, joyously welcome him back into the family. No rehearsed or excuses or apologies were even necessary. So glad was the father to have him back in his life. Such, I think, is the risk we take when we love. When we love and when we allow others their freedom to be and to grow and to learn, we risk losing what and who we love. We risk that they won't be the same person as we knew. And we risk the loss of what we've known and even what we've grown used to and what's comfortable. Freedom for each person to explore who they are and be themselves is the biggest risk we take because we don't know where that freedom might take any of us. And that must be why the party is so big and so extravagant when the wayward son returns. What a celebration to have let go, to have a relationship that seems broken beyond repair, but that has somehow survived to come home. That what was given up for dead is alive, as the story says, and what was given up as lost is now found. That is worth a party. Listen to what Mark Nepo says about this kind of love. This is from his book, The One Life We're Given. In the West, we're eager, even anxious, to choose names for babies before they're even born. In other parts of the world, the naming process unfolds differently. The Yoruba people of southwest Nigeria wait for a child to arrive before considering a name. There's a need to meet the new being, to keep company with the child before sensing the name that the child carries. After the first 3 days of life, the infant is brought into a community circle where the child's feet are held to the earth, and the elders then receive the name that this new life has revealed, fully expecting that in time this being will fulfill and transcend his or her received name. This speaks to a way of knowing others. We're so quick to name or label people we meet without taking the time to experience the spirit they carry. And so we seldom allow for those we know and love to transcend the names we've given them. Then when they outgrow the silhouette that we've put around them, we're surprised. We even see their change as a betrayal. The wonder of love is to expect that those we care for will grow and change and blossom. The covenant of commitment is to celebrate the soul transcending its given name and love what the soul reveals over time. Through the work of love, we can keep the spiritual commitment to support each other in finding our true nature, our true being. That's from Mark Nepo. About 4 years ago, Canadian animator Domi Shi was sitting in her office at Pixar, and she tells this story that she was intent of coming up with an idea for a short film, and says, I was probably really hungry, first of all, when an image popped into her head of a Chinese mom intensely cuddling a baby dumpling. As she brainstormed, she drew on her own relationship with her mother, she says. My mom would often hold me close and say, "Oh, I wish I could put you back in my tummy so I knew exactly where you were at all times." I think maybe many, if not most, new parents feel the same way about this, what seems at the time fragile life. If you have more than one or two, that fragility feeling goes away, and you just leave them on the counter after a while. Domi continues, she says she thought at the time, "You know, that's a really creepy sentiment, Mom, but it's really sweet." And Domi wasn't used to seeing that creepy, sweet kind of love on the screen. And so she says, we've all experienced it, that sensation of when you see something so cute, you just want to eat it up. Bao centers around this middle-aged Chinese woman living in Toronto, and after her husband shoves 3 freshly prepared bao into his face, which was quite rude, I thought, and heads out for the day, our protagonist watches as one remaining bao sprouts arms and legs and begins to burble like a baby. And I think what follows, that whole montage of this child's life, it is a chance for this woman to experience all the joys and fears and sorrows of her motherhood. As her child grows, gets hurt, learns new things, eventually begins to rebel and try to fly the nest with his fiancée, his mother, in a last-ditch attempt at holding on to her dear child, devours him. While this experience depicted may be specific to Chinese cultural nuances and intricacies, the themes are universal if we as viewers can step outside our own perspective. Our cultural signifiers might be different. Maybe we show our love with food, maybe we show it in other ways. But our basic human emotions are an experience that spans all of us as humans on this planet. This moment where Mom devours her dumpling son is emotional and shocking. I gasped the first time I saw that. Some of you did too, I heard you. I was taken aback in that moment. And it showed me that in an animated film that lasts just over 7 minutes, we might expect just a little romp of light entertainment, a little time to laugh and escape. But this moment hits hard, I find. This moment, as we see by this mom's immediate reaction to her act, it's raw, it's human, it's her pain. It's a pain of all she's losing. Maybe it's pain in pondering if she has a role in losing what she's losing. I think it's left up to us whether the eating moment represents a real-life argument gone wrong, or a mother's attempt to protect her son and keep him at home, or the acceptance of the irony that there was no way that she could have kept her son safe without losing him. If our expectations of another don't allow a kind of freedom that lets a child leave home, or that lets others outgrow the labels and silhouettes we've put around them, or that lets another forge their own path, even if it means diverging from the one we expected, then this moment in the film is saying to us that our expectations are consuming the ones we love. We might as well gobble them up. When something is so cute, you could just eat it up, or put it in your pocket, or as Domi-shi's mother said, put her back inside her belly so she knew where she was. We're revealing that we can sometimes view our relationships as these beautiful and valuable curios to protect. that this friendship is something to build a fence around, that this relationship is something to guard, like an artifact from the tides of change or from erosion or from the march of time. And we show that not just with our actions, but with our words. We say things like, why can't that be the way it was? Or, let's keep this feeling forever. How we want to hold on to those moments with each other, that is completely natural. We know they won't last forever, the moments of beauty in our lives. And so why wouldn't we want to cherish them? Of course we do. Why don't we want to savor them? Of course we do. We have all felt that way about those moments in life that we treasure. And it's beautiful to own that, recognize that, and have gratitude for that. But I love that in this one moment, that moment, that gasp-inspiring moment, that we're challenged. We're challenged to recognize that if we hold on too tight, we might as well pop our loved ones in our mouth and swallow. Refusing to let another be as they need to be consumes any hope of our growing and our changing and our experiencing something new and different. Of course that's scary. That's scary for all of us. If we let go just enough, I wonder if we might find that things aren't quite as scary as we thought. The worst cases may not turn out to be so terrible. We might find, in fact, we do lose what has been and can grieve that. We might also find, though, a hopefulness in what lies ahead, something we can't yet see, to places that feed both people. All people. I mean, daughter-in-law wasn't the thief that stole Mom's son away after all, as she dreamed about. Actually, we see at the end, she actually does take off her shoes when she comes over, and she can make better dumplings than her son does. We don't know what might lie ahead. We wonder what might happen when we loosen our grip on our all-consuming expectations of others, of our aspirations, of life held too tight. Where can we see that we've been holding on too tightly? What might happen if we give each other the chances we all need to grow and be whole? And in that spirit, I think it's time for all of us to go out for Chinese food. May it be so in so many ways. We've been together in this circle for a short time. We build something with one another. We learn something about ourselves. We gain wisdom about the world and our place in it. May it be our task to take what we experience here into our lives. May the light of living, the light of love, go with us wherever we go, as we move it from here to everywhere.